Good morning, principles of business and finance. It is Miss Archer. On your screen, we are starting 702 today. So this is the second objective out of Unit 7. As always, you guys have a do now that focuses on the functions of marketing from yesterday's 701 activity. We have the 702 PowerPoint, which does have 702 student notes and a nice little business structures video, since that is what we're covering. And the assignment for today is Jamary and Kelly's high-tech adventure, which I will go over. The exit ticket today focuses on business structures, which we'll learn about in 702. As always, all these assignments are due on May 15th. That posted in the last 2 weeks. Mr. Moore's contact information is on the bottom of the screen with his email address and his Remind, and my contact information with my email, my Google Voice, and my Remind app are all at the bottom. Let's begin. Okay, so 701 and 702 focuses on the business ownership to establish and continue business operations. So we think about business ownership, and this is just the different types of businesses that are out there. So we think of a sole proprietorship, we think of a partnership, we think of a corporation, and a franchise. So these are the various forms that we'll be talking about in this PowerPoint. So a sole proprietorship. This is a business that is owned and run by one person. It is typically managed by the owner, so the person owns it and they're the only one running the business. Formation does vary from state to state, so North Carolina and Virginia laws may not match New York and Vermont and Wisconsin. So some advantages of the sole prop. It's easy to start this up because it's just you. They have complete control of the business. The owner receives all the profits because, of course, they're the only one putting money in and taking money out. They are limited on taxes because it is a one-time taxation. And then you have your disadvantages. So the disadvantages for this is the fact that because it's only you are the only one putting in money into the business. Then it is unlimited liability. So that means you're also responsible for all the debt that comes through. And then the business is only limited to the lifetime of the owner. So should you pass, so does the business, unless you set it up for someone else to take over. Now we're looking at a partnership. So the partnership is a business owned and controlled by two or more people who have a written agreement. This management of the company depends on the business partnership. So you may have a person that is strictly quiet in the business and is the one that handles like the back office and the funds and stuff like that. But then you may have someone that is upfront that is doing all the business operations and things. So some advantages of the partnership: because it's more capital and credit, you might have more opportunity for getting funding. It's combining your resources, so money and expertise, because whereas one person may have the expertise and handle the money, the other person may be the PR person, and that is the person able to go out and get some help and things of that nature. And then it's shared management responsibility, so the more people that you have involved, the less strain that it might be on you. And it's also a shared risk. And the workload is easier to manage because of the sole proprietorship. So some disadvantages: your profits are shared. So depending on how many people are actually in the business, this also means that you're going to have more hands that are going to split the money. And they're responsible for each other's decisions. So that means if you and your partner aren't getting along, unfortunately, your partner has just as much say-so in the business as you do. And the potential for disagreement does happen because everyone doesn't think the same way. Everyone's not going to see eye to eye. There is an unlimited liability depending on the type of business that you have. So keep that in mind. So these are some types of partnerships. So we have a limited liability partnership. So this identifies some investors who cannot lose more than the amount of money that they invest. So if I only invest $10,000 in your business, then that means I'm only going to stand to lose $10,000 in your business should your business go under. I'm not going to lose anything more than that. The investors are not allowed to participate in day-to-day business management just because they are strictly there just to invest their funds. General partnerships. So this is a partner that plays an active role and has unlimited liability. So that means if 2 or 3 people were to get together and form a business, that means that they can lose more. Doesn't matter how much money they've invested. It all depends on how well they work with others, how successful the business is going to be. So corporations. This is an organization owned by one or more shareholders and managed by a board of directors. So this has ownership and is determined by your purchase of stock. So the more stock you own, the more you hold into a company. And then a stockholder or shareholder owns a piece of the company. And then a common stock equals 1 vote. So the more stock that you have in a company, the more votes you get. So now we're looking at advantages. Of course, it's easier to attain capital because you're going to have so many people that are willing to invest in your business. There is a limited liability for shareholders. The life of the corporation is unlimited, so whether or not you pass, there is always going to be someone that can possibly go in and take your place. Some disadvantages, it's going to be double taxation. So your profits and your earnings are going to be taxed also. There are government regulations and legal restrictions. The decision-making is shared among the managers, the board of directors, and the shareholders. But because remember, everybody that has a say-so in the company is the ones that have purchased in the company. So some specialized corporations. So we have what's called a subchapter Corp S or an S corporation. This treats a partner as individuals by taxing them once. Then you have a limited liability corporation or an LLC. So this provides limited liability protection for owners. The nonprofit corporation, which is a lot of our churches and schools in the area. And this is just a group of people who join to do the same activity that benefits the public. So some corporation terms. You have merger. This is when 2 individual businesses combine to form one organization. You have a consolidation. This is a form of business of growth in which the corporation acquires many smaller companies. And then you have expansion. So this is just a business strategy when a business is increasing the number of stores in which the customer can buy the company's product. Some more types of corporation continues. A public established for governmental purposes. Examples. So this, excuse me. Kind of went back on me. Public established for governmental purposes. Some examples of this is the National Science Foundation and the Export-Import Bank of the United States. And then you have a private established individual business for charitable purpose. You have things such as my former employer, Enterprise Rent-A-Car, and American Cancer Society. So these are all privately owned businesses. They normally do a lot of, they still hire people. They still pay taxes and everything like that, but they are not publicly owned or traded. So that means you're not going to be able to buy stock into them unless you work for the company. When I worked at Enterprise, you were actually able to purchase stock there once you had been there a certain amount of time. Franchises. We're all familiar with franchises. So this is when a person has been given a business permission to operate a business and to sell products and services in a certain way. It begins with a parent company who owns the product or service and then grants the right to another business. And the franchisor is the company that owns the product. The franchisee is the company purchasing the right to run the business. So we think of franchises such as Burger King, McDonald's, Subway, Pizza Inn, Pizza Hut. These are all different types of franchises. So some types of franchises. The business format. So this requires the franchisee is the person that has bought it and is asking permission to sell products or service in a specific format. The product trade name, this allows the franchisee to sell specific products. So the format is usually for automobile and appliance and petroleum jelly. So we're going to think of Nissan dealerships. We're going to think of Duck Through Gas, those type of things. They have Duck Through Gas sales shale gas in some areas. So they have been given the okay to use that name, but still run it underneath the Duck Through. Okay, so the activity for today is Jamar and Kellis' high-tech adventure. So this is another case scenario in which you are going to be reading the scenario here and then answering some questions based off of their business structure or what you feel their business structure should be. So it's about 8 questions that you're going to be answering. And again, you're going to be focusing on what type of business they have and what you think would be a good idea for their structure that they can form and what you think that they can possibly look at in the future. So this is Jamar and Kellis' high-tech adventure. Kind of simple and straightforward thing. Use the PowerPoint and use the video to kind of help you out, get some headway on it. Then back in the classroom, make sure you guys again are doing the do now for today. There's a short YouTube video which has business structures there. So I definitely say take a look at that. That gives you a more breakdown and a visual representation of what the business structures are. Make sure you're doing your 702 student notes. And then, as always, the Jamar and Kellis high-tech adventure. And then the exit ticket that focuses on the business structures that we just learned about in today's lesson. As always, just a reminder of what you guys are supposed to be doing today. Should you have any questions or concerns, definitely reach out to myself and Mr. Moore, and we'll do our very best at making sure you guys get the understanding that you need for the assignments. I pray that you guys are safe during this time. I hope that you guys are continuing your work in your classroom. We are almost finished. There'll be some review activities after this, so definitely take advantage of those. And Mr. Moore and myself are working on a final exam for you guys because we are not doing the 100 question final assessment. We do have to do another assessment in place of that. So as always, I hope that you guys are doing well. Continue to be safe. If your family has been affected by this virus, I do pray that they get a speedy recovery, and we will see you guys in the classroom.